Kinsey, this is Math 4 for Monday, April the 6th. We are working on counting change. You're going to be doing page 245 to 254 for this week. So this is part of chapter 14. Okay, so I'm sure that you know how to count change and count money since you've been doing it. You're in 4th grade now. So we're talking about counting back change. So let's say you spend $1 or you have $1 to spend and you buy something that costs 25 cents. Okay, so the way you're going to do that is you would hand them the dollar and they would give you another quarter back. That would be 50 cents. The second quarter would be 75 cents. A third quarter would make $1 because you know there's 4 quarters in $1. If you spend 1 quarter, you're going to get 3 quarters back. So counting back with change, you try to do the least amount of dollar bills or $5 bills or whatever the case may be, and the least amount of coins. Okay. So example, instead of giving back 2 nickels, give them a dime if you can. When counting back, you're going to give the smallest amount first. So example, if you've got some pennies in the change, you're going to give the pennies back as change before you give the quarters or the nickels or the dimes. Okay? So when you count back, you start with what they spent. My example again, you spent 25 cents out of $1. Okay? You would go give you back 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters. That would be the whole $1. So you would get 75 cents back out of that $1. Okay, so if you look at 245, there's a chart on there of counting back change. And they gave you an example. The customer spent $3.71, but they gave the cashier $5. Okay, so the change back would be 4 pennies. That would bring it to $3.75. Then a quarter would bring it to $4. Then you give them a dollar bill. That would be $1. And you would equal your $5. So that means you gave them back, or you got back $1.29. Okay. So if you look at 245, they've got some examples there. What the customer spent, how much money they gave the cashier, and how much they gave back. Okay. So you want to look at that and decide whether they gave back the right change in the best way. Okay, so if they have $3 to spend, I'm looking at 1A, and the customer spent $2.05. Well, if you give them 2 dimes, that brings it to $2.25. Then you give them 3 quarters, that would bring it back up to the $3. So you want to decide if that is the best way. If you look at B, C, and D, they all have examples. Okay, so you want to look at the one that's done the best way. Okay, on the back, you've got a scale drawing and you've got some review. Okay, 247, making change. Okay, sometimes people will pay you an exact change. That's fine. All right, they gave the example at the top there. $10, that's greater than $6.17, right? So we need some change. Start with the amount that's owed and give change back until you will reach the amount that they paid. So if they gave you $6.17, give them 3 pennies. That will bring you to $6.20. Then you add on a nickel, that's $6.25. 3 quarters brings you to $7. $3 bills gives you the full $10. Okay. Alrighty, so they've got some practice there. You have shoes and you got a robot, it looks like. So they spent $16.19 on a pair of shoes. So you're going to give change back using the smallest, fewest pieces of money that you can. Okay. Then you've got another scale drawing at the bottom. On the back, 248, you have some decimals, which you can mark that out because I'm not going to give you some decimals right now. You have some review things. You've got dividing, multiply, and you also have a chart. You've got some temperatures and you've got some days. So you're going to fill in that chart according to what the temperatures are for those days. Then you're going to find the average. Remember how we find the average? We take all the numbers, add them up, and then we divide by how many numbers you had to start with. That would give you your average. Okay. Next section is 249, checking your change. When you go buy something at the store and you give them the amount of money, do you check how much change you get back? Or even if you go to McDonald's, do you check and make sure they give you the right amount back? Sometimes they make a mistake and they don't give you what you're supposed to get back. I have found that a couple of times and I've said, hey, look, I gave you this much money, but you only gave me this much back. And then most of the time they're like, oh yeah, we did. I forgot to give you such and such. That happens. We all make mistakes. Sometimes we don't give them the right amount of money and we're short, or sometimes they will give you too much change. Instead of just taking that money home, you should let them know, hey, you gave me an extra $1, here, have it back, or whatever. Okay. So make sure you always check that you get the right amount of change. Okay. So you've got a chart there and you're going to practice to see if they gave the right amount of change back. The first one says the items cost $2.57. You gave the clerk $3. So you should get 43 cents back, right? So that would be a quarter, a dime, a nickel, and 3 pennies. So if you take $3 and subtract $2.57, do you get 53 cents? If that is correct, then you will have the right amount of change. Whoop. That was it. Okay. So then you've got writing mixed numbers or fractions as decimal. Remember that if you have 2/10, when you have decimals, the first part, let me show you an example here. All right, if you've got, no, get rid of that. I'll draw it, okay. So if you have 2, no, all right. Okay. 2, no, that's not working either. Okay. You have the number 2. And then down here, you have the number 10. That's 2/10. Okay. So that, nope, that way. If you wanted to write that as a decimal, remember decimals are smaller than a whole number. Your decimal is going to look like that because the first point after the decimal is tenths. So you've got tenths, then hundredths, thousandths, and so forth. So 2/10 looks like that. If I have 5. And give me a line here. Okay. Let's see if we have 5 100s. Look, move my number over a little bit. All right, that is going to look like 0.05 because you have tenths and then you have hundredths. Okay. All right. So going back, we'll continue on. Remember when you do a mixed number as a fraction? You remember how you do that? You take the whole number, multiply it by the bottom, and then add the top. Okay. All right. And the bottom of the fraction stays the bottom. Okay. 250. We've got some metric units. So remember we have tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000s, 1,000, 10,000, 100. So the left side, they go bigger because you go ones, tens, hundreds. When you go to decimals, parts of numbers, you go smaller. 1, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and so forth. Okay, so you're going to work on writing the decimals, filling in the blanks for the mixed metric unit. And you've also got yards, pounds, inches, feet, mile, and so forth with metrics. Then you've got another little map, and you're going to tell how far it is to get from one place to the other. So the scale, 1 centimeter equals the same thing as a kilometer. So you'll need a ruler. So from the church to the school, you would measure, tell me how many centimeters that is, and then say, well, that's the same thing as kilometers or kilometers. All right, 251, metric units of liquid measure. So when we're talking about liquids, we're talking about liters, okay? When we talked about dry goods, we had pounds, or we had cups, or, you know, things like that. Well, this is a liter. So a liter is a little bit bigger than a quart. And remember, there's 2 quarts and a half a gallon, okay? So it's a little bit bigger than a quart. A kiloliter is a little bit bigger than 264 gallons. So that is just a number you'll just have to remember in your head. Okay, they gave you a little chart there. Milliliters is a small m, capital L. And that equals 1/1000th of a liter, because milli means thousands. Centiliter, small c, capital L, that is 1/100th of a liter. Deciliter, 1/10 of a liter, small d, big L. Then on the other side, so those are the smaller than 1 whole. Okay, those are your decimals. Your whole numbers are the other side. Deciliter, which is 10 liters, and you have DA, and then a capital L. Hecto means 100, so hectoliter is 100 liters, small h, big L. Kiloliter, small k, big L, that's 1,000 liters. So you're going to fill those in on number 1. Number 2, you've got some items. Do you think a coffee cup holds more than 1 liter? Probably not. A coffee cup is pretty small. It holds about 1 cup or 8 ounces. So I would say you would underline that because it contains less than a liter. What about a kitchen sink? That holds pretty much water. I would say, yes, that contains more than a liter. So you would circle that one. Okay. Then down below, you're going to decide how tall you are, how long a pencil would be, how much you weigh, how much liquid a coffee cup holds. So you've got to decide the right measurement. You know, you wouldn't use um, no, never mind, scratch that. Anyway, so you'll pick the right one that is closest to the items that are being measured. All right, 252, you just got some review. You don't have to do number 9 where you use your ruler and draw out a 4-inch line and mark it. You don't have to do that. And if there, you know, is anything else in the green, of course, you can mark those off too. All right, 253 and 254. Temperature. That's pretty simple, right? You use a thermometer to tell temperature. You can say things are hot, things are cold. Normally, when we look at temperature, we deal with Fahrenheit, okay? When scientists use temperature, a lot of times they measure it in Celsius, okay? So the little circle after the number is your number. That's the symbol for writing a degree, okay? Freezing point of water. Water boil or freezes at 32 degrees. Okay, so if it's raining outside and it drops below 32 degrees, it's not going to be rain anymore. It's going to be sleet or freezing rain or possibly even snow, you know, if it gets down low enough. Celsius is 0 degrees. So water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, which is the same thing as 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 100 degrees Celsius. Our normal body temperature is around 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, give or take a little bit. That number at Celsius is 37 degrees. So you've got some fill in the blanks, and then you're going to tell me what the temperatures are. Then you have some review problems, okay? 254, the last page. You got some review problems. Then you have a chart giving back change again, okay? So that is all you'll be doing this week. So next week we will finish chapter 14 and have a test. But this week you're just working out of your book. If you do have any questions, you can email me or you can text me or you can call me. And we will go from there. So if there's anything that you're confused on, you know, you can ask. You know, I'm available anytime. And I will talk to you later. I will email this video to you. Alrighty. Thank you. See you later. Bye.